Sport Goofy in Soccermania is so bizarre because this is not a feature-length film, but it's too long compared to your average Disney short. It's got quite a complex narrative that's much more detailed than your average Disney short cartoon, and it's not an episode of a specific TV show, so I kind of find it hard to place with what it is or what they were trying to achieve with this. It originally aired on NBC in 1987, and it was apparently preceded by a mockumentary of various different Goofy cartoons. And the point of this, according to Wikipedia, was to show Goofy being a lot more competent. They showed cartoons where you could pick basically any Goofy cartoon where he does things wrong, or he's not very good at something, or he goofs up. And in this, he's very competent and he's very good at the role he plays. So I kind of like that idea of showing a different side to Goofy, breaking the mold, making him come across as a bit different. But the actual narrative itself, because it's only 20 minutes, it's not feature length, it's not part of a wider TV series, I'm just not really sure how I feel about it in isolation. But nevertheless, it was pretty interesting. Basically, Huey, Dewey, and Louie ask Scrooge McDuck for $1.49 to buy a trophy for their soccer team, and Scrooge says, "No way, you can have this old trophy I have that's not worth anything." As luck would have it, Huey, Dewey, and Louie walk home with this trophy, this old battered trophy, and a curator from a museum sees them with this trophy on the way home, realizes that it's a trophy that's worth millions, and there's an opportunity to then win back this trophy with a soccer match. And Goofy becomes the coach for the nephew's team, and the other people who are playing on the team. They're not necessarily very good, but Sport Goofy is determined to train them and make them successful and give them a chance of winning. Unfortunately, they are actually playing against the Beagle boys, who are dirty swindlers. The characters that actually appeared in, I think, 1950s. They weren't used that much, and I don't think they've actually been seen since this cartoon. I could be wrong about that. But anyway, these characters are not very nice. They will do anything they can to get their hands on money, wealth, riches, this prize-winning trophy. And obviously when Goofy's team find out that they're playing against the Beagle Boys, well, what hope do they have? Well, maybe there is hope, because Goofy in this is the antithesis of Goofy, and he actually comes across as a competent soccer coach who might just be able to whip his team up into shape. Who will win? Only time will tell. I'm not the biggest fan of soccer, I don't care about football in any kind, but that's never really a problem with a Disney cartoon, because there's usually so much going on that is quite interesting. And I did find it relatively interesting. I find it unnerving that they're constantly referring to Goofy as Sport Goofy. They actually call him Sport Goofy. And I guess that's to differentiate between this Goofy and the other Goofy. Almost as if Disney is saying, this is not canon. This is not Goofy finally being good at something. We're just playing around with the character and seeing what it would be like if he was good at something. And they are kind of suggesting it's completely separate to the other interpretations of Goofy. And I think that worked well. The message was clear enough. Huey, Dewey, and Louie, I just love them as characters, so them being in this a lot made me so happy. And I loved the way they spoke to certain characters, including Scrooge McDuck, about the fact that they weren't interested in Goofy, they were just after the trophy, and really put people in their places. I thought their characters were great in this, and I really enjoyed that aspect. The animation style was classic Disney. I really thought it was very good. The narrative flowed quite well. I do think it could have been a little bit longer. I'm not saying I wanted it to be longer, but I feel like if it had been maybe just 15-20 minutes longer, they could have made a feature film out of it, and it could have actually done quite well, because Disney haven't really done any sports-based feature-length films, and it would be interesting to see what the audience reception for that would be. I don't know, maybe they did market research and concluded that that actually wouldn't be a good idea. I don't know. But I enjoyed it. I will say that Tony Pope as Goofy's voice is not great. It's not appalling, and if you haven't listened to Goofy in a while, you probably wouldn't necessarily clock a distinct difference. But I'm watching a lot of classic Goofy shorts every day, and hearing Pinto Colvig voicing Goofy every day. So watching this now, It's a very stark contrast. It definitely doesn't sound like Goofy. But as I said, if I hadn't been watching these shorts and I couldn't fully envision Goofy's voice, that doesn't make any sense. If I couldn't hear Goofy's voice in my head, then I think it would have been okay. We have the late Russi Taylor as Huey, Dewey, and Louie, and also Grandma Duck. And it's not bad. It's not my favourite Goofy short. In fact, it's one of my least favourites because the length of it just doesn't sit quite right with what I expect from a Disney short. It's too detailed to be a classic traditional style Disney short, but not detailed enough to be a feature length, and it's not part of a TV show, a wider TV show, so it's very awkward. I think maybe if I'd watched it on broadcast when it had been shown after some Disney Goofy cartoons, it might have made a bit more sense. But either way, if you're a fan of Disney, fan of Goofy, you like animation, check out Sport Goofy and Soccermania. It's got some pretty good things going for it.